2018 has been the year of the underdog in esports. Across every game, across every scene, the underdog triumphed this past year. From Cloud9 and CSGO,
it's happened! They made it work! Cloud9 are your E-League major champions!
to OG in Dota 2,
your grand champions of TIA! It's OG!
to Invictus Gaming in League of Legends.
The Crownless are finally king, and Invictus Gaming are your 2018 World Champions!
The underdog came out on top time and time again in 2018. Sure, sometimes the top dog did win out.
This is their era. This is the team to beat, to be called the best. You'll face it, London major champions. It's Astralis.
But across every game, every scene, the underdogs came to play. The teams and players that few believed in and even fewer predicted to win defeated their personal Goliaths and triumphed on some of the biggest stages that esports has to offer. And it's not just in the biggest games either. Nearly every esport saw an underdog win out, whether it was over a veteran opponent, an entire region, or even the major esports themselves. In every game, in every scene, in every esport, 2018 was the year of the underdog. These are their stories. CSGO got the year of the underdog off to a wild start, as the scene wasted no time debating who would take the crown at January's Boston Major. Virtus.pro were in the midst of what seemed like a return to form. Astralis were widely considered to be one of the scene's best teams, and FaZe Clan looked like the super team to beat. And then there was Cloud9.
Going into the Boston Major, I mean, it was business as usual as far as NA is concerned, I think, which unfortunately means little to no hope. Liquid wasn't looking especially special. C9 was absolutely, I think, far from anybody's mind in terms of winning this thing or making it particularly far. I think leading up to the major, FaZe Clan in particular was on quite a tournament tear. They weren't the only ones winning, but NA was nowhere to be found. And I feel like this was FaZe's major to win. It was their destiny to win. It almost felt like it was a done deal at one point.
And given NA's history at the majors, few fans had any expectations for the region's best team. With a clean 3-0 record in the new Challenger stage, Cloud9 moved forward to the new Legends stage. This time though, things didn't go so well. With an 0-2 record, Cloud9 looked like they would be sent packing.
It just seemed like a done deal, right? I mean, people were writing the eulogy before the team was even 6 feet under. You already had nothing on the desk in Boston saying, hey, look, you know, the problems that happened when I left are obviously still there.
But with their major lives at stake, everything changed. Cloud9 went into their next matches against VP, Astralis, and Vega Squadron and did the unthinkable.
2 versus 4, Snacks and Pasha doing all they can. No weapon for them to collect. Plays through the smoke, automatic, hearing them, executing Snacks, and there's the last player, Pasha, in the red. There he goes, and there they go.
So they put themselves in position where they can get some information, they can quickly rotate to each bomb site. Both of them with eyes on A.
It's high ground advantage. Oh, they spotted him. They definitely knew, and there's the kill. 16-6. Astralis sent packing from Cloud9, who continue into the tournament.
He could do this, but he's got no kit, no nades, and he's got to find 2 kills, which are pretty polar opposites.
Yeah, entirely. 180. Again, though, the HPI jumps across. Rush nails it. 16 rounds for Cloud9. Cloud9 into the top 8.
With those 3 wins, C9 made it back to the bracket, and they were determined not to let it go to waste.
Stewie, he hears it. Apex stepping a little bit too soon. Now Body in so much trouble, but Kenny's going to be up the high ground, getting the kill. He almost went down himself. There's Body picking it up, and now it's a 1 versus 1. Stewie versus Kenny. The smell of gunfire and freedom in the air, and Stewie picking up that kill. And Cloud9 are in the semi-finals. Oh my God, what a story. They shut down G2 almost flawlessly. What can you even do about that now? The flashbang comes out, but they do rush down Fallen. That's going to be a lot of trouble as Fer gets down as well. Cloud9 answering back twice as hard, taking down Belt, automatic with the kill. And just like that, Cloud9 in a 1 versus 4. Taco can't do anything. The pandemonium is 16 rounds, and Cloud9 are in the grand finals of a major tournament.
With the hometown crowd at their backs, Cloud9 did what only one NA team has ever done before and competed in a major final. And they wouldn't stop there.
He's got to stay alive now. 10 seconds for this bomb to go down. He must stay alive. Stewie is going absolutely crazy on the B bomb site. There's no time to plant the bomb. It's too late. The money's not there. One more round. Nothing else is going on. He's got to go back. Stewie's on his own. But look at the time. Look at the time. There's 7 seconds to plant the bomb. They're trying to build pyramids, but there's no more play. Stewie's won the round. We're going to overtime.
Teammates can make the play just by staying there. He's a threat. Oh my goodness, Bernal does it with automatic! My God!
Do you know what that noise means, Dan? It means it's match point Cloud9.
We saw it from this position before. He cannot miss a single shot. Guardian waits patiently as Cloud9 sets the push up. Oh, it's happened! They made it work! Cloud9 are your E-League major champions!
I mean, the grand final for the Boston Major was unreal. Personally, I would consider it one of the best major grand finals of all time. I don't think that's a particularly controversial opinion. In retrospect, I guess no one knew what to expect, but I'm going to be real with you. I don't think I was alone in thinking that this is a done deal for FaZe Clan. You know, we're just watching the clock waiting for that 16-10, that 16-12 scoreline. But that's not how it played out. Even when the confetti was falling, I could hardly believe it.
The rest of the year was less kind to CSGO's underdogs. Astralis went on to dominate the scene with 5 premier tournament wins, including a first-place finish at 2018's other major.
This is their era. This is the team to beat, to be called the best. You'll face it, London Major Champions. It's Astralis.
But another underdog story did emerge in London as Complexity defied the odds by not only qualifying for the major, but making it out of the new Challengers stage.
When it comes to Complexity ahead of the London Major, I really don't think they were on anybody's radar in any way. I mean, this is an org that has not been internationally relevant in CS for 4 or 5 years. You have to go way back to 2013 or thereabouts to find them making any kind of run at a Valve Major.
The intense training regimen, Warden, the former legend, Rambo, one of the most historic North American Counter-Strike players of all time as the coach of this team, and they're going to be making it to the Legend stage. Jason Lake, one of the first real owners in esports as a whole. This bomb plant isn't even going to go down, and Ye's done it. Who better to close it out? And it still seems like they just can't even believe it themselves.
What a great story this is.
While the team ultimately fell short in the bracket, they went further than anyone expected them to, and secured themselves a spot in the upcoming Katowice Major.
Sure, NA may have only won one major in 2018, but Cloud9's win, coupled with Complexity's Cinderella run, proves that you can never count out the underdog. League of Legends is rarely kind to the underdog.
For years, the international competitive scene has been dominated by South Korea, a region that won 5 straight world championships between 2013 and 2017.
Korea is definitely the most historically dominant region we've ever seen in League of Legends, regardless of what happened this year. I think you look at the history of the game, the way that they were able to set the meta, the way that every other region felt like they needed to play around what Korea was doing, and there really was a gap. You know, it's a meme, but it was true. There was a noticeable gap.
But 2018 not only ended the streak, it also marked a turning point for the game's competitive scene.
Well, the second half did.
The first half of the year didn't provide too many surprises. Kingzone dominated the LCK to a point where fans had to plan around the extra time they got from their lightning quick series. And things weren't too different in the game's other regions, which is why all eyes were on Korea heading into the mid-season invitational. But Royal never give up threw the world for a loop.
In
inside the Baron pit. Super Minions down on the belt, but look at the fight. That's already a kill. Hansa is gone. Kingzone lose Gorilla, and it's using the Big Simmer. The feathers are going back and forth. The Shao who dies. The Uzi is the last man alive, but he's being chased down. Killer
Oh my God!
flashes into the pit. How is he still alive? Uzi is doing it. Uzi keeps RNG alive.
Pull out for a short amount of time. Yahoo is on his way for him.
Oh, that's straight onto play! All of the Force God comes out as well as Killer Instinct. Royal never give up on doing it! And Kingzone's race is in tatters! For the first time ever, RNG is chasing success! Royal never give up, rule the world! Winning MSI 2018!
Well, I would definitely say RNG's win at MSI was huge. It felt like RNG were just sort of a step ahead of Kingzone the whole time. And this was a Kingzone team that people saw as heavy favorites going into the tournament. They were so dominant in Korea. And whenever a team has been dominant in Korea historically, the safe bet as an analyst has been to say, well, they're gonna win. Whatever international tournament is, whether it's MSI, whether it's Worlds, you know, the dominant Korean team are always odds-on favorites. But there were still a lot of fans of Korean League or analysts, students of the game, people saying, you know what, one tournament isn't the end of the world. It's not the first time that Korea's lost at MSI, and come Worlds, it won't be one Korean team, it'll be three. I think a lot of people still felt like there was no way that Korea could lose at the back end of the season.
And the upsets didn't stop there. China also defeated a South Korean all-star team at the Asia Games. And back in North America, Cloud9 were putting together a historic Worlds run.
Heading into the summer split, the 2018 summer split, Cloud9 made a really bold decision, which was to bench 3 of their star players. They benched Sneaky, they benched Jensen, and they benched Smoothie. What Cloud9 and Reapered and their staff said at the time was that these players weren't motivated, they weren't performing in scrims and behind the scenes, but to fans, it seemed really drastic.
But with some smart roster moves, creative play, and perseverance, they took that road as far as it could go.
Flash Hanser only grabs one, but the flash forward, and Bjergsen gets a kill. The trade back though, a huge knockup. Can they secure them? And Cloud9 will. A double kill for Sneaky. They're all falling now. TSM are routed. They're inside their base. The Nexus will fall. Bring out the Silver Screams. We're going to game 5. Join, here comes the fight 5v5. Is this the one that ends it all? Greg getting away, burning down, trying to stay alive. 2 for 0 Cloud9, and they can chase to the open and him. And 0-4 for Sneaky. They give Bjergsen. It's a 3 for 0.
They have the minions. They can end the game. I think C9 have done it. They are going to go to the finals.
And though they lost the summer finals to Team Liquid, Cloud9 bounced back for the regional finals, where they triumphed over their longtime rivals.
Zone is from Mithy, out he goes, and he's got to drop to the fear as Licorice comes into the backside. The resurrect for Hanser. Can he get away from this one? A stopwatch to buy some more time. They'll kill off Licorice. Bjergsen goes in for the fear. Gets 3. Looks for the re-engage. They almost knock down Says, but they don't quite do it. As more of TSM fall, it's 2 left alive. Down to just Bjergsen, watching his kingdom fall to ashes as Cloud9 will knock down the base. 10th place to Worlds!
And when they got to Worlds, they got right to work.
Ben Scarens is still on cooldown here for Cloud9. They do not want the heart. Oh, they're going for it!
Oh, what a hook by Tushin! They're gonna find the way in though. The Oran's gonna come across, and the knockups are there. Is this the fight? It's 2 for 0, and the Guardian Angels are popped. This could well be it. Look at them clean up the map, and the last vestige of Korea has been destroyed. Cloud9 will make it to the semifinals. Cloud9 in the top 4 at Worlds.
But Cloud9 weren't the only team putting on a show at Worlds. After years of playing third fiddle to South Korea and China, the European teams made their mark on the tournament as well, with both G2 eSports and Fnatic advancing to the quarterfinals. And while Vitality, the third European team at the tournament, fell, their coach Yamato Cannon rallied the region and asked that they stay true to their own style and stand together against the East.
G2, when they showed up in their style, they're winning. When Fnatic are doing their style, they're winning. Just stay true to yourselves. Do not try to chase anyone. Don't try to copy anyone. Just be confident. Don't limit yourselves either. Go into this tournament, play your next games, believing that you can win everything. That is the mentality you need to have to conquer the best. because anything is possible if you just believe and play with confidence and stay true to yourselves. So do that for me, Europe, please.
When the dust settled, not a single Korean team made it to the top 4. With the upsets out of the way, the rest of the tournament went how most expected, with IG and Fnatic playing in the finals, and IG stomping them in short order.
IG are on the Nexus! The LPL has never won before, but that will change today! The Crownless are finally king, and Invictus Gaming are your 2018 World Champions!
2019 is set to be the most exciting year League has ever seen, and it's all thanks to the Underdogs. For much of 2018, Dota 2 was a game dominated by just a handful of teams.
Team Liquid, the International 2017 champions, broke the post-TI curse and became the first TI winning team in history to have a strong post-victory season.
Team Liquid, they have actually done it. They are your champions for the China Dota 2 Super Major. Team Liquid.
PSG LGD won back-to-back majors and didn't fall below top 3 at a major from April until the end of the year.
I got kind of sick of repeating that these guys were by far the best in the tournament, and I thought they were going to win every game.
What a team, honestly. They make that signing, picking up Xnova, and bringing him into the fold, and ever since then they have looked like one of the most dominant, if not the most dominant team in all of China.
And Virtus Pro, winners of 4 majors, were so dominant that their players won 3 Mercedes-Benzes from ESL as MVP prizes.
Going into TI8, those were the teams on everyone's lists to hoist the Aegis. At least, that's what everyone thought.
Going into TI8, OG were ranked dead last in popular rankings. Before the Super Major, they had lost Fly and S4, who were considered to be, in the form of S4, their most mechanically skilled and experienced player, himself a TI winner, and Fly, who really was their captain amidst this kind of collective team mindset they had. This team was, generally speaking, considered to be the weakest team at TI.
Despite going into the tournament as the lowest ranked team, OG made it through the group stage and into a fated showdown with EG, the team that put them in their dire position by signing 2 of their best players ahead of TI.
Wrap used by Thompson. They'll pop the horn. TCG have to pop the BKB run away. Crit gets surrounded. Crit gets taken down. They'll go for the Supernova. OG looking towards the side. Can they take it down inside? They can. They get the Supernova. Sumail going over the BKB. Looking towards Seth. Brings down Seth. Banana still alive. Cuts down Sumail. Double kill for Banana. S4 trying to rid himself away for Jax. His pulled for Jax. With the right clicks gets the kill. He's got a rapier, but is almost certainly going for the pace. OG looking to close things up. They're onto the agent, they're beating it down at a pace that he can't compare to. GG is called. OG win the series 2-1.
It was chilling. You could literally hear the collective groan throughout the arena as these 2 former best friends of 14 years just became the locus of all of the tension and drama over the last few months in just that 1 second when they passed by each other. And No Tail, having come on, beat Fly, which no one anticipated, really gave him this opportunity to just grandstand over his former friend and just stare right into his soul.
OG then moved on to the upper bracket finals, where they faced down one of the strongest teams left standing. And in an incredible display of skill, patience, and fortitude, OG kept finding ways to come back from the brink.
He's looking at Thomas, but then your goes out from FY. Hold, and kill. Thompson, he's up the racks. He's up the ring.
Oh, the timing.
Nice. Seb, RP, pull him back away from the Cataclysm, but into your home, where the Echo slam.
Oh, there it is.
Forward. There's your slam. There's the dump. There's the play. Jirax, the savior of OG. For OG to do it, to get to the grand final of TI8. Tip him up, tip him over. This is the game. LGD have nothing left. OG have done it.
With a 2-1 victory, they moved on to the grand finals, where they once again faced off against LGD. This time, though, the series went to 5 games.
Slide the change, the remnant across, they'll get the kill onto Challenge, but now he's in the middle of it all, uses himself up the flame guard, ticking F1 down like the side of fish, the RP, Sip, he's got the control, onto Arme, as OG, they find 3, they look towards Somnus, surrounding him in the pit, Somnus, he'll go down as well. Arme, he's been sprouted, the stolen Fisher from Jarex, out onto Arme, but F1's in with the slam, is it enough? No, it's not, LGD they've lost 2 yet again, but they have managed to find 2 in return. Anna's still alive, the flame guard keeping him fight again. The slide of fist cuts down a second double kill for Anna. Chalice surrounded by Seb and Anna here in the trees as OG get the team wipe.
They've done it. They have done it.
Done it. The power of flowers and friendship. I've done it here, ladies and gentlemen. Your grand champions of TIA. It's OG!
OG lifted the Aegis, marking the end of the most incredible run in Dota 2 history, and likely changing the way people approach Dota 2's endgame forever.
I think that OG proved that the roster that you have going into the tournament doesn't need to be your biggest concern. I think they proved that it's very easy to sit around and say things like, well, we play to the bitter end, or we never give up, or, you know, we are warriors and fighters. They didn't just play to the bitter end. They just didn't see the end to begin with. And I think that they taught every other professional team at that tournament a lesson in what it actually means to never, ever, ever stop fighting.
Winning a tournament isn't the only marker of a successful underdog story. Last year, we ended the story of 2017 wondering how the Overwatch League would perform in a world traditionally dominated by 3 major esports.
We saw a game that from the early point, people expected to be this giant in esports, and then we had a little hitch for a while, turn into the game like everybody expected it to be. People got excited about the teams and the players in a way that they hadn't previously, and gave people an opportunity to see the game on the stage that they expected to see it when it came out.
The Overwatch League has found success. Viewership on the Season 1 Grand Finals didn't beat out the 2018 League of Legends World Championship this year, but it did beat out both the NA and EULCS Summer Finals viewership. And over the course of the entire year, Overwatch League viewership compared favorably to the NALCS's viewership. There are a lot of existing esports fans watching the Overwatch League, but it also seems to have a wide audience outside just endemic, hardcore esports fans.
I think that there's definitely something exciting about the game that maybe takes a little bit less investment to get into than what we've traditionally seen in esports, and sort of the way that they've been replicating that traditional sports style of getting behind a logo and a brand. So I think that it's working in that capacity at least a little bit.
Meanwhile, another game has seen success catering to fans who aren't necessarily the traditional esports audience. Fortnite, which launched its Battle Royale mode last year, quickly became the most popular game in the West and a streaming juggernaut, which led many in the esports community to ask if it could ever become a viable, competitive esport.
I really don't think that people had high hopes, and I mean, there's always been criticisms of battle royales as esports. It's kind of a difficult format to replicate in a competitive sense. You know, there can be some random aspects that make it difficult to be played at a high level. So I think that people were very skeptical of Fortnite from the beginning when we saw this game blow up, and then it was okay, how do we make this competitive? So yeah, I'm not sure people expected for it to work.
But the game was too big to leave alone, as Epic Games stepped in to pour tens of millions of dollars into the game's competitive scene. The esports experience for both spectators and players improved, and superstars were born.
Hands down, the most sort of successful players in the esports scene are the FaZe guys, Cloaks and Tfue. This year we saw the way that Fortnite can be dominated at a high level that I honestly don't think anybody expected. I think the community has really rallied behind them as these kind of sort of heroes of early Fortnite days. So I mean, those guys are really sort of paving the way for fans to get behind esports and Fortnite.
Fortnite, the game, is not an underdog, at least in 2018. Fortnite, the esport, on the other hand, grew in fits and started to become one of the scene's biggest games, despite doubt from the esports community. Fighting games are the scene where underdogs thrive.
Open bracket tournaments mean that everyone gets an equal shot at glory. No auto-qualified players, no guaranteed results. The only thing that's standing between you and the trophy are the other players in your bracket.
And nowhere was that more evident than EVO. It boasts every game's biggest bracket and the world's top players, making it a hotbed for underdog stories.
Super Smash Bros. Melee has always been dominated by a small handful of players for much of its competitive existence. The Five Gods, Armada, Hungrybox, Mewtwo King, Mango, and PPMD eventually gave way to a handful of new players. But EVO, the hardest tournament of the year, was a Gods tournament.
EVO is the hardest tournament in the world to win, no matter what game you are playing at EVO, right? It is the biggest tournament in the world for any of these games, usually. And, you know, if you are the, let's say, even the 8th best player in the world, you become something of an underdog, because you're gonna have to beat the 7th best, the 6th best, the 5th best, the 4th best, the 3rd best, the 2nd best, and the best. In order to win, you have to go through so many matches back to back, and you're gonna end up playing, sure, you'll start playing against weaker players, but you're gonna end up playing against the other 7 best players in the world once you're in top 8. The year started off with a really incredible bang of Plup winning Genesis, but after that it was Hungrybox, Hungrybox, Hungrybox. Armada retired, and it was just Hungrybox is gonna win EVO. But there were other contenders. Plup was looking really strong, and people also had a lot of thoughts about Mango, who was kind of playing in form again, which was surprising to some people and really exciting for his fans. But, you know, everybody, the safe money, Hungrybox in the grand finals, and Hungrybox probably winning it.
Because of that, many thought of Leffen, the first player to beat all 5 gods, as an afterthought to win. People didn't think he'd miss top 8, but he wasn't in the grand finals conversation. At least, that was the perception up until winners' quarterfinals. There, Leffen beat one of his biggest threats, Hungrybox, and moved on to the winners' finals, where he demolished Plup.
Plup, a little slow. No, not like that. He grabs the ledge like a frame before Plup would have. He wins the race. And in speedrunning or in Melee, one frame can be everything. No, again! The same exact thing happens 2 stocks in a row. Plup unable to grab the ledge.
With 2 of the tournament favorites knocked out, only one opponent was standing between Leffen and Melee's biggest prize, Armada. And, well, Leffen dismantled his fellow countrymen.
72%.
Armada's showing that
Where's he
final
going? He's
wheel
running
laser.
too slow. 8%. Armada has no shield. Armada has Leffen is our EVO 2018 Super Smash Bros. Melee champion.
Leffen, the first non-god player to win Melee at EVO since 2013, lifted the trophy that had evaded him for so long.
Leffen winning was, you know, shocking, right? Him beating Hungrybox was shocking. Him beating Plup was impressive, though not a crazy surprise. And by the time he got to Armada, it was like, Leffen is playing better than anybody else is playing today. And that makes all the difference in the world. Leffen lifting that trophy in front of as many eyes as Melee could possibly have in 2018 tells people that Leffen is in contention for the best in the world, that a non-god player is in contention for the best player in the world, and that is just a sea change for Melee.
But he wasn't the only underdog to win that day. Later that evening, all eyes were on Tokido. The defending EVO champion was on a tear throughout the 2018 season. No one looked stronger, and no one looked like more of a lock to win EVO than Tokido.
You know, a lot of people had their eyes on Tokido. Tokido was looking so good and was playing so well, and there are other Japanese players people had their eyes on. People were looking at Daigo as being really strong, people were looking at Sako as being really strong, and a lot of people did overlook our actual eventual champion, Problem X. Problem X is one of, if not now, the best player in Europe, but he's part of a long line of Europe strong players who on the international stage have done well, but never, aside from once, spectacularly. People just didn't see him coming.
Problem X ran through a difficult bracket, defeating the likes of Bonchan, Fujimura, Luffy, and Gachikun. And when he came against Fudo, he only narrowly took the win.
Oh, the crush counter. And another crush counter.
What is going on? How many years
The pressure almost
the
done.
humanity.
Oh, he did it. Guess who is going to be going to Grand Finals? It is Problem X. He's going to Grand Finals over Fudo.
In the Grand Finals, he found himself face to face with Tokido, who tore through the lower bracket for another crack at the championship.
I have not seen a sign of that at all today, but Tokido is still on the verge of resetting this.
Problem X. Oh, okay. Opportunity.
Oh, he challenged.
He knew he wanted to get back out of that corner.
Jumping back in the corner, trying to hope that he goes after him.
No answer for the jumps. We've seen this as a slight flaw in Problem X's game repeatedly in this top 8.
Oh, this time the jump back jab. Where did he
That's
call
gonna
it
be
out? He called it out. We have a reset here at Evolution.
Still no answer
Too
for Tokido.
Too far.
He doesn't want to commit. The tension is palpable.
Oh, he goes in there. A backdash. No, he's not going to quite juggle there. Goes for the B reversal, knocks him down. Oh, that should be punishable.
Let's go.
Problem X has taken Evolution 2018, and all of UK is elated. They have run up there to swarm him. Tokido has been sent home in second place.
Problem X became the first European Street Fighter EVO champion since 2014, and the first ever from the UK. Between him and Leffen, this year showed off the very best of the FGC's underdogs. There are two kinds of players who play professional StarCraft 2, Koreans and the rest of the world.
Much like League of Legends, Koreans dominate StarCraft's competitive scene. But unlike League, no one else really matters. North America, Europe, China, they're all foreigners. They're all one big pile of non-Koreans who don't win the important tournaments.
At least, not until this year.
Starting in January, Cyril, a young Finnish Zerg player, won every single WCS stop he attended.
We've seen moments where foreigners have shown a lot of promise. They've gone to Korea, boot camped, lived the Korean lifestyle in team homes, and they've made some progress in the European and North American scenes. However, their wins against Koreans were always so far and few.
At GSL vs. the World, Cyril triumphed, beating 3 Korean players in a row to take first place.
The Nexus is very low. The Oracle trying to come in here to help out. Another Immortal goes down. GG! It is done! Cyril is your GSL versus the World Champion! He took out best player in every race. He is the best in the world right now, ladies and gentlemen.
And then, at BlizzCon, Cyril defied the odds again, coming out on top of a bracket filled with top Korean talent.
He kills another carrier, 2 more fall! The Broodlord's starting to get picked off here as well, though.
He comes in once more. He can basically one-shot these carriers, and I don't think there's any solution here for Stats. He's going to commit. Cyril overwhelming the air fleet of Stats.
And that is it! GG!
For the last 20 years, Koreans have dominated the StarCraft scene. This was the first time in StarCraft's history that a non-Korean actually won a BlizzCon championship. Not to mention that he also scooped up the GSL versus the World Championship, all 4 WCS circuits, and just had like the most amazing year.
2018 was the year that underdogs made their names known in esports. They took every game, every scene, every esport by storm. They may not have won everything, but they did make things more exciting. And that means 2019 is set to be one of the most interesting years that esports has ever seen.
I'm gonna fight, but to the name.
Thanks for watching. If you want more great content just like this, be sure to hit the subscribe button.